You remember I showed you how to install this vanity in our new master bathroom? Well, our bathroom is complete and we've lived with it for a couple months, so now I'm ready to build a legitimate shoe rack. Let's get to work. I decided to prime my 4x8 sheet of MDF before cutting since it's so much easier as one big piece. I'm using oil-based primer since the water-based primer can make the fibers in the MDF swell. Since I'm going to be using this 1x12 as the border on the sides and the top of my new shoe rack, I'm going to go ahead and start by cutting the MDF to the same width, which is about 11¼ inches. So I'm going to cut a bunch of pieces of it and then start putting it together. After marking my 11¼ inch width, I draw a straight line using my 4-foot level. Then I line up the blade of the saw on the mark and butt the level against it. After clamping the level in place, I have a sturdy guide to push the saw against for a straight, effortless cut. All right, now I just have to do it 7 more times. And since I have this cut perfect to size, I'm just going to use it as a template for the next ones. I wanted to use MDF because it doesn't bow, doesn't have any knots, and it's smooth. But man, it can create some dust. All right, I just have to cut my 1x12 pieces so that I can get it primed. While I was cutting my 1x12, I thought it would look really cool to have the contrast and stain it instead of painting it to match the shelf boards. So I'm staining it now so that it can dry before I put everything together. This 1x12 requires more prep than the MDF did, so I didn't want to prime it before cutting, which worked out well since I changed my mind anyway. I think you'll like how this looks when it comes together. A few more cuts to get the shelves to length. I decided I wanted my first shelf board to be 7 inches from the bottom, so I have my vertical pieces laid flat. I'm going to measure and mark the 7 inches, then I can line up the shelf board with those marks and nail it from the outside. Sometimes I just can't wrap my mind around how to calculate to get the spacing between the shelf boards just right. So I've learned to Chelsea-proof my projects by marking and installing one board before measuring and marking for the next one. I'm using the longest nails my nail gun can handle since they will essentially be the supports holding the shelf in place. It might seem a little wobbly at this point, but it'll be nice and secure once it's installed in the closet. To really give my shoe rack the built-in look, I'm going to cut and remove the baseboard so that I can slide it right in. Removing it takes a little manhandling since my tile was laid after the baseboard was installed. But now I can slide the shoe rack into place, fire a few nails into the wall, and then reinstall sections of the old baseboard between the vertical divides to polish it off. Just because it's in a closet doesn't mean it can't look good. Plus, there's room for all of my shoes now too, no matter which season. Thanks for checking in. I've got so many projects to share with you, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next episode.